Bush is in this Hilton on 53rd and 6th getting an award for Father of the Year.
The Fathers and Mothers Day Council is giving George Bush Father of the Year for 2015, and it's a benefit for Save the Children. Last year, Save the Children gave Father of the Year award to Tony Blair. So there's both of the major imperialist war criminals have received this award, and we're out here to say, really, Godfather of the Year. Here's someone responsible for killing 1 million people in Iraq. That's not counting Afghanistan, that's not even counting Yemen, Pakistan, Syria, all the places where the so-called war on terror has been spread out.
So what would you say to that guy who said, well, didn't you see the World Trade Centers?
Well, we would just point out that the U.S. then started little 9/11s all over the Middle East as revenge. And look what the situation is now. You have an almost endless war now that's gone on towards Iraq since 1990.
So proud to partner with Save the Children again this year. So as we turn to the awards portion of the luncheon, I'd like to introduce today's Master of Ceremonies and a 2008 Father of the Year honoree, Mark Schreiber. Those of you who have been with us in the past know that this is Mark's 4th year as our MC. His candor at our events is always appreciated, and it reflects the true spirit of our organization. Before I invite Mark to come up to the podium, I'd like to share part of his resume with you, and remember, this is only a portion of his accomplishments. As president of Save the Children Action Network, Mark leads an effort to mobilize Americans to make children at home and abroad a national priority. His career fighting for social justice in advocacy and service organizations has focused on advancing the right of every child to a safe and vibrant childhood. He started Save the Children's early childhood development, literacy, and health programs in the United States, which under his leadership have expanded to 220 schools in 17 states, benefiting 165 children living in some of the country's most impoverished regions. In 2005, Mark created Save the Children's domestic emergency programs to ensure the safety and well-being of children before, during, and after disaster strikes.
So you grab your phone, and I'm going to read this so I don't screw it up. You go onto the screen and you type in 347, everybody paying attention? 347-602-3157 in the address line. And then you type in, well behind me, then you type in your name or your company name, the amount of you want to pledge, and any short message you want to send to all of us here today, or you can do it anonymously if you prefer. And the tax-deductible contribution will go, as Matthew said, to support children right here.
He told us how we could do something about it, and then left it up to us whether to decide to live our lives in a way that would help bring a little light to a sometimes dark world. And it was through my parents that my sister and I were inspired to pursue our passions, global health and education, and now the Today Show for my sister. Dad has had an impressive career, from being a pilot in the Texas Air National Guard, to starting an energy business, to purchasing the Texas Rangers, to being the 46th governor of Texas, and the 43rd president of the United States. But it's not his career that impresses us. It's the fact that he's passionately pursued what makes him come alive, and he's brought those he loves along with him. And that is a life well lived. So you may know him as the 43rd president of the United States, but to us he is our cutest dad, a man that my sister and I lovingly call Popsicle. And I would love for you to join me in congratulating him as Father of the Year.
So I deserve to win only because I raised two great girls. You just met one. They asked me to give a few comments about what fatherhood means to me. I'll tell you what it meant to me. It meant that it focused my attention on what's important in life. I think the most important priority for a dad is to be a dad. In my case, I might have been slightly self-absorbed at times, but when I became a dad, I only had one real job, and that was to provide for these little girls. Was I always successful? I don't know. They can be the witnesses. But I know this, it was my priority. As a matter of fact, I don't think I would have quit drinking had it not been for being a dad. You see, what happened to me was alcohol was becoming a love. And it was beginning to crowd out my affections for the most important love, if you're a dad, and that's loving your little girls. One of my favorite lines, people say, what's it like raising teenage girls? Here's my line. I love you. There is nothing you can do to make me stop loving you, so stop trying. I also learned of unconditional love. It's one of the greatest gifts a dad can give a child.
George Bush, war criminal! George Bush, baby! George Bush, war criminal, not father of the year. George Bush, war criminal, not father of the year.
In my phone calls to Dad, he never complained. Self-pity is not in George Bush's DNA. Now he was hoping to complete another parachute jump, the 8th of his life, counting the one he made after his torpedo bomber was struck by Japanese anti-aircraft fire over the Pacific in 1944.
Yeah, there's an Iraqi woman who's suing the Bush regime, and George Bush in particular, for what he did to Iraq, and she's attempting to get a hearing in federal court, which she probably won't get. But it's a good effort, and it's really bringing out the fact that Iraq was destroyed by this war, not helped.
And now, wouldn't George Bush be arrested if he tried to enter countries like Germany?
Well, one would hope that there were countries of the world which would say what he did at least bears investigation, and bears some kind of trial.
Thank you.
The scene captured the character of George Bush. He was daring and courageous, always seeking new adventures and new challenges. He was humble and quick to share credit. He deflected attention from himself and refused to brag about his accomplishments. He trusted others and inspired their loyalty. Above all, he found joy in his family and his faith.
George W. Bush is in this Hilton on 53rd and 6th getting an award for Father of the Year.
The Fathers and Mothers Day Council is giving George Bush Father of the Year for 2015, and it's a benefit for Save the Children. Last year, Save the Children gave Father of the Year award to Tony Blair. So there's both of the major imperialist war criminals have received this award, and we're out here to say, really, Godfather of the Year. Here's someone responsible for killing 1 million people in Iraq. That's not counting Afghanistan, that's not even counting Yemen, Pakistan, Syria, all the places where the so-called war on terror has been spread out.
So what would you say to that guy who said, well, did you see the World Trade Centers?
Well, we would just point out that the U.S. then started little 9/11s all over the Middle East as revenge. And look what the situation is now. You have an almost endless war now that's gone on towards Iraq since 1990.
He served his fellow citizens at the highest level, striving above all to advance the cause of peace. He has lived a life of faith devoted to his family.
Early on in the 80s, they funded elements that became Al-Qaeda, but they funded them unintentionally by leaving all this war material in Iraq for people to pick up and for sloshing billions of dollars of cash into the economy in a situation where they created sectarian warfare and the whole country came apart. So they are responsible. I don't think they intentionally created ISIS, but they're responsible for a situation where Islamic fundamentalists are now seen as the obvious answer to U.S. imperialism. And they're both outmoded and wrong. And we really need to bring forward a situation in a whole other way where people understand that people in this country, we have no interest in controlling the Middle East and oil for very many reasons. Those of us who care about humanity want an immediate end to this war and to all of the drone bombings, the secret operations, the surveillance, the funds that are being put into Iraq again to put in more bases and so-called advisors.
And what do you think about Obama sending 450 more troops?
Well, you know, it's the obvious continuation of an endless war without any legitimate justification. It's to control the Middle East and to keep other countries from controlling it.
Right.
You know, and to manage the oil and to assert U.S. domination over every other country.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's outrageous, illegitimate, immoral, unjust, no matter what president is in charge. But this one should be put in prison. He's a war criminal. He ought to be tried. Give him a fair trial. Let the people of the world come in and talk about what he did.
He served his fellow citizens at the highest level, striving above all to advance the cause of peace. He has lived a life of faith devoted to his family. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was incredible. I'd like to say a few thank yous.
George Bush, war criminal, not father of the year. George Bush, war criminal, not father of the year. George Bush, killed babies.